Hey, there we go. This is James Maduke speaking. Welcome to another live webcast. Sorry we're a minute or two late. It's a storm time here, and actually we've had intermittent power. I actually had this scheduled for earlier in the day, 1 o'clock Eastern time. And of course, we had no power and no internet all afternoon. So things were working pretty well until about 10 minutes ago, and the internet went out again and it's come back on. So bear with me if I disappear for a while. We'll try again tomorrow or next week. So again, my name's James Maduke. We're going to be doing a session on my brand new project, and it's I'm calling it my Pickleball Project. So we're going to spend some time going over that project, and I think if I can, I'm asking for your help. I actually want a little bit of help from you so that you can kind of guide me through this project, because I put it together, and the whole idea behind this is I'm using my campus blueprint, the thing that we teach on teachonline.io, and the thing that we implement at TrainingSite.io, our agency. It's the actual program that we put in place, but I'm going to use it on a personal project which isn't necessarily business related, but is interest related. And it isn't necessarily about selling courses or building a learning campus. It's as much about building a community. And for the past couple of years, I've been talking about community, gamification, learning campuses, places for education and teaching online. So this is kind of an intermingling, or a Heinz 57 of all of these different pieces together in a project that is not business related, but has the potential to earn quite a bit of money. So it'll be kind of interesting just to see how that actually works. And let me give you a little bit of background first on how this all came together. I have a cousin who was a huge tennis player. Played tennis all of the time, and really interested in tennis. Now, I play tennis a little bit, but I'm not overly good at it. I don't like it too much, but it's a fun sport for being members, playing with someone on a regular basis, having that conversation, being able to talk to each other, play for fun, not necessarily competing all the time, but being able to play some fun, and really have some fun when you're playing a sport that gives you a little bit of exercise. And it's something that you can swing at. It's something that can be physical and you can have some fun with. And it's a fun sport. I have a cousin who was heavily into that, was a member of a club, played like competitively at the club level and did tournaments, all of that stuff. And they really got, they were into it for really heavily, and they got injured. And one of the things that happened is part of this injury, of course, when you get a little bit older, it's easier to get injured. But they got injured, and they had to put themselves in a position where they were going, okay, I can't necessarily go back to tennis at the same point or same way that I did before, but someone else has been talking to me about this other sport called pickleball. So if you aren't familiar with pickleball, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on pickleball. The reason that it's interesting, I think anyways, is become this whole thing with pickleball. I'll read some stats off in a bit, but basically it's taking at least North America by storm. And I'll read some stats off if I can get them on my other monitor that just rebooted here before we started. It's the fastest growing sport in North America. So this thing called pickleball. And if you haven't heard of it before, and I'll talk a little bit in a sec, but if you haven't heard about it before, think of tennis and ping pong kind of put together. It's similar to tennis, but it's on a much smaller court. And in many cases, it's slower than tennis, or not the shots. It's much closer together, and it's often played in doubles or pairs, more so than it is in singles. And it started off actually, the fun thing for me personally is that, and as much as it started as a sport that older players played, the fastest growing area of the pickleball market is actually, I think, people under 35. So younger people are starting to gravitate to it. And there's a whole bunch of reasons for that. We can talk about it another time. But the important thing I think for me is this whole idea that it is a really big market. So let me just go in here. I'm over on another screen. We'll see if we have an internet connection there, which I don't think we do. So I'll have to reopen a browser and see if I can get something put together there. I'll close that up. Actually, let me try it here on this one. I'm going to open up, I'm just opening up another browser here, and I'll actually, let me show you this one. There we go. So this is a website called pickleheads.com that you can see. Hopefully you can see it there. And in this one, let me just see if we can do, let me see, this one you can join. I don't want to, I'll allow them so you can see where we located. This is a site, and it has a directory of all of the different places that you can actually go and play pickleball. So this is one. It's got a courts, Ottawa. There's 51 courts, for example, where I am. But this is a site for pickleball players, and it's about where to play. That's what this one is about. And they have some really good stats. So I'll just go and we'll do some stats just so I can look at them. Now I had these actually up on another monitor before we got started, but there we go. Let me just open this up here just to give you an idea, put this in context. So my cousin gets playing, and she absolutely loves it, and she's heavily into this whole community, and she tells me about it, and I'm going to playing around with it, and I'm taking a look at it, and I'm seeing, well, because we do courses and community sites and membership sites, I was looking, well, where are the courses for pickleball? And from the research that I did initially, the majority of the videos are all on YouTube. There is no organized kind of how-to courses, or there's no organized community of pickleball players other than associations and or single clubs. So you may have a North American or a state association, or a country, for example, Canadian Pickleball Association, or the Ontario Pickleball Association, or the California Pickleball Association, or the Kentucky Pickleball Association. So there's those state organizations, and then there's organizations for an individual club in a city, for example. But there wasn't really a community, and there wasn't courses that were like broad courses for everyone to actually learn. So I got thinking about it and go, well, is there a market in pickleball for a membership site or online course? And I started playing around, and that's what I'm going to talk about today, because I have got some material ready for this. I just haven't figured out which way I'm going to go yet. And what I'd like to do is give you a little bit of feedback, and then if you can kind of let me know, what do you think I should do? What do I think I should do with it? I've got a whole bunch of pieces in place. I've got a couple different angles that I want to play around with, but I haven't made a decision yet. So I'm going to share some of the stuff that's going on. If you are interested in pickleball, or something that I'm talking about is something that you can relate to in terms of you don't know whether to sell courses, build a community, get into a market, not get into a market. Those are the things that I'm going through right now with this market. And talk to me about it, and we'll see if we can kind of work something out over the next little while. So here's the thing. This is from pickleheads.com. And just a couple key pickleball stats, and they've referenced some of them here. So they say, according to them, pickleball is now the fastest growing sport in North America for the 3rd year running. Okay, 3rd year. So ping pong, badminton, and tennis. So near Seattle, 1965. It's been around for a while, but it hasn't really got popular until recently. So its whole idea with this is it's easy, fun to play, and it can be enjoyed into one's later years, it says. So that means you don't have to be super athletic. You don't have to be super young to do it. It's something that a lot of people can get involved in. And the thing that it says here is it's an open play format. And what that means to you is that people of all skills and all ages can actually play together in the match, whether it be a singles match or doubles matches. So it's just kind of open and gives you a lot of opportunity to get out, be physical, and play a sport. Now, these are the stats for 2023. And these are the ones from Association of Pickleball Professionals in 2022. So we got 36 million. Remember, these are the stats for pickleball, but think of these for the stats for a membership site or a community or a course site. So you got 37 million people play in the US alone, 160% average growth rate over the last 3 years. Largest bracket of pickleball players, almost 1/3 is 18 to 34. So they're not necessarily the older market, but they're not the younger market either. So we got 18 to 34, 10,000 places to play in the US. Pickleball paddle market, $160 million in paddle sales. And that's the other thing that you're going to see when we kind of go through this is there is a large merchandise, equipment, accessories, all sorts of stuff in around the pickleball lifestyle. And we got 8% forecasted compound annual growth rate through 2028. So it's not something that's shrinking, it's something that's big and getting bigger. So we got a lot of stuff in here. The other one that kind of caught my eye here in terms of participation rates. And this is the one that's growing so much. So you got football, soccer, baseball, tennis, 22.6, golf, basketball, pickleball, running, and biking. It's only behind running and biking. And I wouldn't be surprised that if it actually overtakes running in the next little while. Biking, I don't think it will, but this running and pickleball, I have a feeling are going to switch. Okay? And the players are getting up there quickly. Tons and tons and tons of them are actually going. So the other thing is there's kids. It's not just those 18 to 35-year-olds. There are actually kids camps now for pickleball. All of this is to say is that we have this absolutely huge market in the pickleball space. So what I did is I actually created or purchased a whole bunch of domain names in and around pickleball, just because I had a feeling I was going to do something for it, but I wasn't quite sure. So in the background here, what I'm going to do is I'll just open up one of the places that I actually registered domain names, and I'll just give you an example of some of the domain names that I've registered and why I've kind of put them together. So let's just look, and I'm going to look through some of the ones here, and I'll open up the screen so that you see it. So I'm thinking about pickleballs, I'm thinking about community, I'm thinking about courses. I'm not 100% where it's all going to fit in. So I register some domain names, or at least try to register some domain names to see if there's something that I can use in around that courses / community business. And what I run into is I'm logged into Namecheap here. This is Namecheap. This is one of the places that I register domains. And if you take a look here, we just scroll up. You have to remember, I'm in Canada, so .ca is a domain name in Canada. My preference for domain names is always to start with a .com. And if there is a .com, obviously grab it. If I do get the .com, I want to get the .ca as well. And then if I can't get the .com or the .ca, my next kind of preference is to get an .io domain. That's, again, my personal preference, or some other ones like a .co and some other extensions. Totally up to you on what you want to do with that. But mine is .com and .ca if I can get them. So just take a look here on some of these domains, and you can see the ones that I picked up. How to play pickleball.ca, pickleballcourses.ca, pickleballcourses.com. So that one's interesting. I got pickleball courses and pickleballcourses.ca and .com. So I've got both of them with the same domain there. I've got pickleballfriends.ca, but I wasn't able to get pickleballfriends.com. It's already taken. So what I did is I said, well, what's kind of a play on words with friends? So I just did one with a Z. So pickleball friends. I have .ca and .com with a Z. And I have picklefriends.ca and .com and picklerfriends.com and .ca. So those are all of the ones that I kind of came up with about pickleball. And my whole idea behind this was to do the the course part and or the community part. I was thinking like, how do I focus on these? Which are the ones that I think will probably be the easiest ones to turn into a business that I have some interest in, that I could build out as a business. Is it the course one? Is it the community? Is it the match of both of them? So the reason I'm telling you this is I'm playing around. I got this idea, so I'm going, okay, there's a market that's big, it's growing, it's an exciting market. I'm not an expert in it, but I have access to experts because my cousin and her husband are instructors. They're actually pickleball professional players. There's a whole system on rankings. They're at the level where they can play in paid tournaments, paid competitions. They've got courses that they're doing. So I have access to experts. I'm not personally an expert in this space, but I have access to experts. So I'm thinking, okay, how can I turn this into a business? So the very, very first thing, of course, that I did was, just going to open up another piece here. I'm going to go and we'll just take a look at, what do I need to do? I need to go and talk about my campus blueprint. What is that whole idea that I have about building these community/course membership sites, these training sites? What are all the pieces? Like, how does that work? What's the important part there? So what I did is, I'm just scrolling through some of this right now. I want to take a look with this with you. I'm just going to close some of the arms here, some of the threads from the steps here. Take a look at some of these pieces of the campus blueprint, my training site campus blueprint. We'll take a look at them and say, okay, well, how does this fit in? Where does this idea for pickleball, what are the things that you have to play around with, or what are the things that you have to think about, or the steps or the process you have to go through if you want to turn it into a business? And the very, very first thing that I started to do is I started capturing content that was from third parties, other people in the space. So I've got listings of sites, I've downloaded some apps, I'm following all this information. And then the other thing is, so there's the content externally, and then there's the content internally. So all of the things that I was doing in that space about pickleball, I was starting to capture it so that I had some digital exhaust. And hopefully you've heard me talk about that before. It's about capturing all the stuff you do on a regular basis for repurposing or reusing in your business. That's kind of the first thing I started to do, is to capture it, do my research. After I got to it, I was thinking about, well, if I am going to do this, what's necessarily the purpose of it? So if we move this up a little bit, it's like, what's the problem that I solve as the first one? Do I have some goals for revenues, reaches, number of people talking to? Have I played around with that? And do I have something, if I'm solving a problem, do I have a big, bold claim that I can make that lets people know that I can actually solve the problem that they have? So that whole campus goals and outline is important. And the third one, which is I'm talking about today, is this whole notion of, it's like, what is the business model? I got some content. I understand, I get that. I've got some goals for what I want as a business. The other thing is how am I going to do that? What are the pieces going to be? How am I going to put that all together? So that those three steps are really the hardest part of putting together your training site or your online campus. It's like, how are we going to put this together so that it actually turns into a business? And these are the things I want your help with. So I don't have the right answer yet, because it is a space I'm getting into. I'm not an expert in. I've been doing all sorts of research. I've been talking to the people that I know. I've been getting references and referrals to people external from themselves and external from me, so that I can round out what I'm putting together for a business. And the part that I just wanted to share with you today and just have you think about is that in almost all of these businesses that I put together that are for, in many cases, membership sites, campuses, online learning sites, for the most part, the focus is on the courses. It's about how to do something. So if I look at it from the perspective of the course part, I should probably use the domain that relates to the courses. For example, pickleball courses, how to play pickleball. But that domain references, if I'm going to focus on the courses, it's like have a domain name that references the courses, and then understand that the content that I'm capturing is about the courses and teaching people how to play pickleball, whether it be if they're a beginner or an intermediate, or even at some point more advanced. But is it going to be a business model about courses and marketing the courses? Then I'm going to use pickleball courses, how to play pickleball.ca, those ones that relate to courses. On the other hand, if I'm not going to focus on courses, but I'm going to focus on what are the communities and bring those communities together for pickleball players. Remember, right now there's associations maybe at the city, the state or province or the country level and the club level, but there's not a big community for all pickleball players. There's nothing there yet. So I'm going, well, maybe I'm going to do the market around pickleball friends in the community. So I would use pickleballfriends.ca or pickleballfriends.com, for example, or picklefriends.ca or picklefriends.com, and then focus on marketing the community and then talking to, for example, clubs and asking them to be in the pickleball directory that I got set up, or maybe doing blog posts or bringing in content that's already created on YouTube, bring it into a site, or basically having a Facebook for pickleball players, but have it as a site that is available specifically to pickleball players, not a group on Facebook, and treating it as a business. Now, of course, the cool thing is that in any of these, whether it's the courses part or the community part, is there's a huge opportunity to sell merchandise and or become an affiliate for products that are related to the whole pickleball lifestyle. Again, whether that's equipment or clothing or any of the kind of things that go around it over and above merchandise that I might end up selling for the logos and stuff. So these are the steps that I'm going through: capturing content, picking out some goals, finally looking at a business model, and then putting together kind of a platform for this to run in. The other thing I want to show you today is I have got a platform set up, but I haven't decided on which way I want to take the platform. And if you haven't heard me talk about campus platforms before, for the most part, there's two options. You can have a self-hosted platform, which is one that you basically host on your own website, on your own servers, your own account. You host your community/courses. That's one where it's self-hosted. The other one is a third-party software as a service platform, and that's one where you build a community, but it's on someone else's paid service. Or you build a community, it's on someone else's software that is not something that you host and you control. So you kind of two platforms there. And the reason I have, or I'm thinking about two platforms, is one of those platforms is absolutely wonderful for creating communities and selling courses. The other platform, in many cases, you need two of these outside platforms, one for communities and then one for courses. So it's kind of, do I go over on the service part of the platforms, the one that is, do I go on that one where I have to get two things and get it connected, and it's these two services where I have my courses at one point and then I have the community at one point and I make sure they're talking together? Or do I keep it internal where I'm going to have it hosted on my own site and I have one whole piece put together where I'm in control of it? So those are what we do for businesses. Because I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to do the community and or the courses, I did set up a hosted platform, and I'll show it to you just to see what we have. And again, it's a campus. It's something that you can obviously have for your business, but I'll show you how we've got the pieces of it in the platform that I started. Again, I haven't started marketing it. The branding and stuff is a little bit done, but I've put all the pieces in place if I decide to do the self-hosted piece. So how does that work? Let me take a look and see if we can get that put up here. So let me go back to the Chrome browser for a second. We'll bring the browser, and I'm just going to go And you can see right now, I'm going to visit the site. This is a WordPress site, and I have a whole suite of WordPress powered tools here. And what I've done is this domain today, you can see the domain is the pickleballfriends.com. And the reason I'm doing that one, of course, is because I set it up initially for the community kind of approach to it. Haven't set it in stone. It's easy to change after, because I have all those domains that I was showing you. It's easy to have my hosting account, because I'm in control of it. I can just say, look, make pickleballcourses.com show up instead of Pickleball Friends. So I can change it. The site stays the same, but you're in a position where you can use a different domain name. So the one I have right now is Pickleball Friends with a Z. I will end up changing that one, I think, to either picklefriends.com or pickleballcourses.com, depending again whether I go courses or communities. But so I got a site set up here. Let's take a look at some of the pieces that I put in place and how they kind of fit into this whole community and or courses piece. So the very first thing is I've got it set up here where I've got a test user in as an example. I did a couple things right up the bat. We've got a dashboard that's here. So again, this is dummy information. It's a public site, but there's nothing in it. It's not being marketed. It's just sitting here. I'm logged in as an admin user right now, but you can see we've got a dashboard that's set here where I have friends, groups, places, and events. So these are the ones that I set up out of the box, is to be able to connect with other people, to be able to create groups of other people. And these are groups just like Facebook groups, same idea. A place where we have a directory of either clubs and or places to play. And then we've got events, which are things like tournaments and all the other stuff that goes on between or at these clubs. So it's an open calendar that people can post their events. So in terms of a dashboard, this is my intention, is to have people join up and be able to go to the dashboard just like they do on Facebook, be able to see an activity feed, what's going on in groups, and have that all available to them when they log in terms of a dashboard. The next piece is I'm talking about friends, so I want to make sure I have some friends, and I set up a members directory. So you have to remember again, the members directory, we've just got some test users in here, and you can see we've got some test users listed. And in this particular one, I can go and take a look at someone and take a look at them, see when they joined, message them, join them as a friend, find out what club they're playing at, what they've been involved in, connect with them. Again, exact same idea that you'd find on Facebook. And again, the user can determine how much they want to show or not show, but it gives each user a place to share a little bit about themselves in the community. I've also created some groups. And again, this is on the community part. We're looking at groups, and I'm going to say, well, what are all the groups about? Or is there a group that someone wanted to talk about? So we've got, we can have a group here on pickleball etiquette. When you're at the club, what are you supposed to do? When you're playing someone, what are you supposed to do? So that's just an example of a group, and this is exactly the same as a Facebook group or any kind of group that you would see on any of the social networking sites. Same idea, but this one's allows the users who are registered to create their own groups if they want and join other groups. So those are places to play, for example, where people can talk about it. Paddle fanatics, people who pick the paddles and they're wondering, well, which ones are the best, or which ones should I use, or which ones are expensive, which ones are cheap. You can get in and talk about those, and just choose to join the group and see what members in the group. So we've got a whole set of groups there, again, letting people get involved in the community. We've also got a directory that I put in here with places, which really gives people the opportunity to take a look and say, here's the Nepean Sports Pickleball Club, where the club or the association can put in their details about their club and have the detail. How many courts do they have? When are they open? How do they contact them? Where do they go to reserve sites? What's going on at that club? So there's just an example of a directory I put together. Again, we've got some dummy information in there. My idea was to have that particular part, again, as part of the community. Finally, I've got courses. And this is the part where am I going to add some courses? How to play pickleball. We can have as many courses as we want, but do we want the site, or do I want the site to be a focus on courses with a domain that focuses on courses, or do I want it to be something that focuses on community? And the reason I'm thinking about that, and you might want to as well, is if you are going to be doing this, you have to remember at the end of the day, when you're marketing your site or your business, the way that you market it has to do with your business model, and the business model has to do with the goals and objectives and who you're actually marketing to. For what purpose? For what problem are you solving? So am I solving the how to play pickleball, or teaching people who don't know, or introducing pickleball and teaching people playing pickleball? Or am I solving the problem of people being able to network with each other, get to know each other, and build a community around their local clubs or particular topics around pickleball? So I don't know what to do. I'm not really sure what to do here. I've got this set up. I can bring it either way, but it's like, what's the best choice? I don't know. If you have any ideas on this, if you're a pickleball fanatic, there's something that you want to see, make sure to reach out and say, hey, I think you should do this way, or hey, I think you should do that way. But it's going to be interesting. This project I'm going to keep on working on. One of the things that I did do in the background when I was thinking about the pickleball courses part is I actually created a course in ChatGPT for pickleball. So I created a pickleball basics course in ChatGPT that I'm going to put in here. But again, I haven't played pickleball, but I actually created a course for pickleball from ChatGPT that I'm having my experts complement or supplement to round out that particular course. But if I do the course part, my idea is to do something similar to a lot of small courses. Some of the research that I did in the early part when I was capturing all that content is there are some courses available for pickleball, but they tend to be master courses. And what I mean by that is some of them I saw, there's like 50 videos and it's $400 or $500 on how to play pickleball. So there's all sorts of modules and lessons, and it's too much for a lot of people, in my opinion. So, I'm thinking, well, what are smaller chunks or segments that I can put, like mini courses and tutorials, but how can I organize them in a way using, for example, the tool we've got here, which is a WordPress powered campus with the LearnDash learning management software plugin and the BuddyBoss community software. How can we, create a Udemy for pickleball players? And if you're not familiar with Udemy, it is a catalog for courses in all different topics. It's just a large Amazon for courses, is a lack of a better word. So you can go and find courses anywhere at Udemy. I want to make this courses one. If I do courses, I want to make it all kinds of courses as it relate to pickleball. Not every topic, just pickleball, if I do the courses one. If it's something that's around community, I'm going to have to go and figure out how am I going to market it to these existing players, those 18 to 35-year-olds. Those people are at the local clubs, they're members of the association. How do I reach out and talk to those people? So it's going to be an interesting time to see what happens here. Again, if there have any comments, put them below. I'll make sure to read them and take them under consideration, or more importantly, reach out to you and ask for some more feedback as to what you think the best thing to do is. It's going to be kind of exciting. This has nothing to do, of course, has nothing to do with my regular business, other than implementing some of the things that I teach and do for some of the other clients. And I'm talking specifically about the TrainingSites.io, which is our done for you service. We actually implement this for other companies and other markets. But right now I'm looking at it and saying, okay, how can I use this or implement it for something that I just have an interest in, not necessarily business related. It's going to be kind of interesting there. So we'll leave it at that for today. My name is James. Every Wednesday I'm on at 1. We do a live session. Every Monday morning I'm on for a little bit. Every weekday morning I'm on for a little bit at 9 a.m. Eastern, just to go over some of the things that we've learned or talked about. But this whole pickleball thing and this journey through pickleball is something I'm going to be talking about over time, because there's some great examples in there of how to implement the campus, but more importantly, how are the different tools and services, tips and strategies available to identify the market, build a business model, pick the right platform, create courses, market courses, do all of the things around using, capturing content, repurposing it, social media marketing, email automation, content creation, blog posting, graphics. It's all there. And one thing I forgot, just I'm going to mention this too, is that as much as I'm showing you what's on the website here, the really great thing for this, and the part that I think is the biggest reason that I decided that I'm going to use something here on a self-hosted service, is BuddyBoss and LearnDash and WordPress. The BuddyBoss app, which is the tool that I'm using for the community and the theme that makes it look the way it does, that also has a native smartphone app. So it doesn't matter if you're on Android or an iPhone, we actually have an app. And what that means is that anything that happens on the website, it's actually available on the app. Anything that changes on the app gets updated on the website. Anything that changes on the website gets updated on the app live and in real time. So that 18 to 35-year-old, I know where they're going to be spending their time. They're going to be spending their time on their phone, more so than looking at a website. So that's the other kind of piece in the background. I'm thinking, do I do courses or do a community, or do I focus on both, or do I use both, or where does this all fit in? I wish I had an easy answer. There isn't an either easy answer. I'm going to have to pick one. We'll play around with it, try it, and see how it works. See if it fits into the goals and objectives. See if we're talking to the right people. See if we're able to monetize it with a business model and still make it fun, not only for myself, but be able to answer some questions that people have questions to when it comes to pickleball. So again, hope you enjoyed this. This is James speaking. You were watching a quick rant, for lack of a better term, a quick rant on my pickleball project. So stay tuned, expect the best, and we'll see you again next time on one of our live webcasts from TrainingSites.io and TeachOnline.io. Take care, expect the best.